Hello, gamers. As the newly appointed Wide Propaganda Minister, I hereby declare you should like, subscribe, leave a review. Okay. If you don't, we'll up your taxes. Okay.
Wired Unplugged.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wired Unplugged episode 18. That wasn't a remix of the jingle. That was just us talking over it because I wanted to show Gary, who's joining us from the studio.
Evening, morning, whatever time of day it is.
Hasn't actually realized that the jingle is live and direct into even his ear holes.
Yep, it actually spooked me a bit. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't ready. I thought I was prepared. I was not.
Do you think that everyone was reacting like in post, like to a CGI dinosaur?
I genuinely did. I thought it was one of those. You know what I mean? Oh, just look like something's coming at you, and we'll fix it in post.
No,
like no,
it's real. Well,
okay.
One person who's no stranger to that is Survivor, the Unplugged Survivor, Steve, who's back again. Not with Vinyl Masterclass this time, but Steve, good to see you again.
If we're going to talk vinyl, there is one just there.
Oh, we are.
I'm just going to slide it in there, mate.
There's a lot of things to discuss. This is probably the most content-packed, action-packed podcast one yet because of just the insane amount of things that have happened over the last week. So
it's been a busy like June is heavy for games anyway, right? Like it's always the month, and with the massive propagation of all of these shows and everything within, you've got a lot to cover.
Yes, there really is. So we've been merciful in the sense that we're going to be talking about E3 a little bit more specifically, and not Steam Next Fest that specifically. And for those that don't know what I'm on about, is like Next Fest is on Steam Next Fest, which is Steam's celebration of all things indie, but now kind of everyone's just got involved. And there's 1,400 playable games over the next, in fact, by the time you listen to this, it's over.
Yeah,
all right? It was simply a moment.
Monday.
It was okay. There's a couple of days.
A couple of days. You've still got time.
There's some urgency to this. Okay.
Yes. And the last worker demos, so there's still time.
I reckon actually there's been a lot on in the gaming world, but that actually comes hand in hand with the fact that there's a lot on over there at the Wired HQ. So I think this is just a really nice opportunity to just blast straight into some propaganda. Now, just wanted to give a solemn, not that solemn, it's not fatal, shout out to our true Minister of Propaganda, Aaron Cooper, who's recovering from a slight, spell of bad health. Aaron is... That sounds a bit like a eulogy again.
You really made that sound as ominous as you possibly could. Like you've
got a cold, guys. He'll be back next week. All right.
Yeah.
But,
some Victorian waif that was
yeah. I'm going to name a ship after him. Yeah, exactly. Now listen, Aaron will be back next week, but we've got propaganda doesn't just stop, does it? Off someone's bad health. We all know that. So let's run the rhythm and then let's go.
Wired Propaganda.
Okay, well, it's the time of the show where we let you know what's happening at Wired, and I hand this over to Aaron normally. Steve, you're taking the reins this time, and there's quite a lot to it, to be honest with you, this week. So what have we got in the Wired Propaganda canon?
Well, first off, Aaron sent me over the official propaganda hat, but I'm not sure it's going to quite go with the earphones. But it's the Minister of Propaganda's hat,
the Home Pride hat.
We've had an absolute mad one this week. So where do we start? OTK stream. I don't know if you caught any of the OTK stream. Gory absolutely ripped it up. Really popular. Obviously, this is a bunch of streamers. That's who they are. And Gory just absolutely killed it. It was incredibly talked about on there. So yeah, that one was huge. What else did we have? Oh, not a lot really. Yeah, IGN.
Wow, all of the 3-letter,
Yeah.
OTK,
ABC.
IGN.
Yeah. KLF.
CIA.
KFC.
KFC.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite. So OTK is the conglomerate of streamers that put their skills together to create the One True King network. That's what it stands for. And they ran their own sort of digital conference, and Gory was a part of it. It was the very first time they did this as well, right? So Gory was there, and the reception for it was, well, bananas, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, it just went over. I mean, Gary will tell you,
it was great. I mean, first of all,
crazy.
Like not that they need it, right? Like let's be honest, the names of the streamers that were kind of all up on there, your Asmongols and so on and so forth. It's not like anyone is a stranger to these people, but for a first time production, like they absolutely nailed it. It was a really entertaining show. Like the pace was fun, the jokes were suitably cheesy, and as content creators, it was very different, actually, Jake. I don't know how much of the show you caught. I assume all of it, because you are like the gaming encyclopedia.
Yeah. Wow.
But it was it was super interesting watching a show made by content creators actually actively being hyped for the games, rather than a lot of other shows that you see where it's kind of like the games are presented more as a responsibility rather than because they are excited for them. Like I don't know, that kind of spoke out to me a little bit. And
yeah, it's interesting to see how things are handled. Anything funneled through this like content creator system changes. Journalism became review. YouTube reviewers are a lot different than like the old school journalism. You know what I mean? Just as a sort of kind of a bit of a segue here, but Jeff Keighley pretty much has a monopoly on Jeff Keighley has pretty much a monopoly on this now. And somebody asked me where that came from, and I was like, oh, it's because Jeff Keighley was famously a journalist that did one of the biggest sellout moves ever, where he spoke about Halo 5 surrounded by Doritos and Mountain Dew, and it became a meme because of the integrity of game journalists. And I showed this to somebody who was a bit younger than us, gents, and to them that is absolutely completely in line with everything they see on a sponsored stream. That was just like a sponsored stream. So they didn't quite understand it. So what I'm trying to say is the way that things change and the way that the content creation skews at how things are done in general. And so to see this, like, the OTK filtered version of like a digital showcase with a lot more hype, a little bit more lax and a little bit less, let's get a sort of BAFTA award-winning presenter to go through all of these games as if they were, if it did feel a lot, and to be honest, I watched it thinking I could only win if it's awesome. It's going to be good. If it's a disaster, it's going to be really interesting to watch, and the views will still be there. So I was like, I was game for it either way, and they
just how I watch Formula One.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and seeing Gory there, obviously you feel a little bit more of like ownership to it. So I was like, I wonder how because the chat for some of these lot can be brutal. If they don't like something, they'll say, I don't like this.
Oh, it is merciless at times. And it's super interesting because you'll see like the initial wave, especially for a game that is very much as upfront as Gory is. We were actually discussing this earlier, weren't we, Steve? That we handle the community side and marketing side of Wired Productions and their games, and sometimes it's very hard to peel back the layers of a game and really get down to the core of what it is when you're trying to stay to marketing schedules and not give too much away and identify audiences. Gory is exactly what it says on the tin. You see 5 seconds of Gory and you're like, that is a character action game with a cat. That is basically a cute Devil May Cry. That is God of War with claws. That is like that is exactly what that is on a hoverboard. That's incredible, And watching people's comments to that trailer dropping on OTK, where they were immediately like, okay, we get it, we know it, we want it. Yep, sure, yes, we're in. Like here we go, that's it. And that's really important, I think, because as soon as the initial comments of something pops up and goes, this is boring, or this sucks, or the usual, oh, where's gameplay? Yeah, how many times have you seen that on a show where okay, cool, where's gameplay? Where's gameplay? And the entire audience, it's like being at a concert where someone leans and everyone all of a sudden just shoulder to shoulder begins falling, like it just turns that way. So you bang on with that.
Yeah, it did really well. So that was OTK's maiden voyage, and Gory was a part of it. And then there's this quite established brand called IGN, Steve.
Little indie group,
What happened there?
Well, we put new trailers on there. We had Gory and The Last Worker trailers on there, and they both went over really well as well. I mean, we couldn't be happier. I mean, they're just The Last Worker is just absolutely beautiful looking. And Gore is it's just mad. It's just absolutely mad. And like Gary says, it does exactly what it says on the tin. So both of those went over really well. I mean, we haven't stopped. Even today, we're putting stuff out. I mean, it's been just an absolute hectic time, but it's been brilliant. It's
But a
been
good
absolutely
hectic,
brilliant.
a really good hectic, an energized hectic. It's one of those periods where you're kind of everything you're putting out, you're immediately getting like the feedback from the people that are excited for your games. And when you get a trailer out, I mean, this is maybe a little bit behind the curtain-ish, but sorry, Leo is sticking his head around the corner in the window and doing something weird to try and put me off. Sorry. But when
he does it again, take a picture. We want to see him. We'll drop it in.
Drop it in right live.
Yeah.
When you drop something like that and you kind of get that immediate, you see that the organic audience of the people that are now aware of a game that just vibe with it so instantly, and they just expand that circle of energy that anytime you're dropping something, you know that these people are the ones that are there, they're hyped for it, they know about it, they're ready for it. Even though it does get super hectic, that kind of, you bounce that energy off each other. You're kind of like, yo, I'm sharing something cool with you. And they're going, that looks awesome. When can I have it? And you're like, NDAs, but here's another cool thing. You know, and it's great. It's best.
Nice too, because it's, you're showing something that, didn't start getting worked on a week ago. This is something you've had to kind of keep to yourself, to speak, for a long time.
So long. I mean, I don't know
how I've not been on. That's why I've not been on, because I always give things away.
Steve is the Tom Holland of Wired. I don't know whether you know this, but we actually have a calendar, and it's just 12 months of Steve in Tom Holland outfits, which is basically just Spider-Man outfits.
I've already been told I can't mention anything about Arcade Paradise in the 29th.
You've blown it already. You've already blown it.
Interesting.
Well.
Yeah, I'm sure this will get edited out.
We won't be announcing anything on the 29th, will we?
We might be. We might be.
Well, the Minister of Propaganda will have something to say about that next week. I'll make sure to check in with him.
He's checking my bowler hat back.
Yeah, exactly. You're on thin ice. All right. So this probationary period. It's been really cool to see, information being shared at this time, which is really, really busy, still get reciprocated and the love sent back and forth, like you're saying, from fans. Because it's like, that's a good thing about this last week, is like, it's a time where it's exciting to gaming again, and it kind of like opens your mind a little bit this type of week. You know what I mean? Like, you become a bit more susceptible to taking on things that you wouldn't normally try, like trailer wise. Like I find myself, because I'm sitting through these presentations, which is very much a schedule. It's rather than like everything now is like the Netflix system where you watch exactly what you want to watch and nothing else. So when I'm sat there watching a conference and the running order that they pick and choose, I'm out of my comfort zone, but I end up, and I'm just gonna, I've been trying to hold off, to be honest, to the Steam Next Fest thing, but I'm gonna have to say it now. I got a Steam Deck last week. I got a Steam Deck last week. Okay.
Have you got it with you now?
It's upstairs actually.
Oh, you should have brought
because I play it in bed.
Okay, that's a good place to play with your deck.
Thank you. Yes, very good. So listen, my Steam Deck arrived, and I realized that I've always been a bit of a console gamer, to be honest with you. The reason is that that's been made specifically for the gaming, whereas a keyboard's been made specifically for spreadsheets or something like that. So I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but I've always kind of been a controller kind of guy, and so I've always loved the idea of it. So when it's arrived, I'm like, okay, and I realized that my Steam library is probably, it pales in comparison to a lot of people. I've got a mere 300 games, right? Whereas some people I know have got like 900 or whatever. So I've been looking Steam Next Fest, and during this time, I'm out for games that would be great on the Steam Deck. So I'm watching everything like this with an open mind, thinking, oh, this is the sort of thing that looks good. Because a lot of the time I'm looking at these cool announcements. If it's an early access game, that just means PC for now, doesn't it? Yeah. If it's a strategy game, it's probably going to be on PC and then come to console in a year or two. So there's all these things that in my head I'm just like, but the barrier's been opened. I've been watching this, just looking to, and I think, maybe not that anecdotally, but I think a lot of people are looking at things that they wouldn't normally expect to like and be like, oh, that's interesting. Like Last Worker looks like it might be not challenging for you, but it's asking you a question. What does this mean? Whereas Gory's not asking anything, is it? Other than what would it look like if you cut a million unicorns in half?
It is
You
an
know-
important question that people need to know.
Yeah. So yeah. How many unicorns can I kill in a minute? Toy unicorns, bear in mind. We're not Voldemort out here.
Not smaller corns.
Yeah, very good. So listen, I've got a lot of love for this time of year, and I'm glad that even though, as a company, you end up going kind of toe to toe, if you want to put it that way, with lots of other news. People they're not, they're coming to this place like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. You know what I mean? They're really trying to get their money's worth, so to speak. And the best thing is, they haven't paid anything.
No.
They're just sitting there watching all the cool stuff. So it's really cool. And like the last worker thing, the way that it's been presented, the way the way that the whole thing is handled with the last worker, everything. That wasn't like a package joke there, but you know what I mean. But with this, like it's been nice to see it with a little bit of a flair, and it's got that cinematic thing going for it, hasn't it? Which but not in a like a blockbuster Uncharted way. So it's been very interesting. So listen, that's been a decent haul, and that's not even it. That's not even half of it.
That's not even a quarter of it, really.
What else have we got?
What else is there, Steve?
So we had Tin Hearts exclusive on Game Rant, a trailer, a brand new trailer for that. Set to the Hall of the Mountain King music. I don't know if you know it.
You'll know it. They'll know
Come
it.
on,
They might not
it.
know the name. I've had it in my head all day.
Is it the Alton Towers theme?
Yeah, it's
Like the
for
Alton
those
Towers.
of you in
Everyone
the
goes, "It's
UK.
Alton Towers music." No, it's a real piece of classical music. And that is it just builds to an absolute crescendo. And that was exclusive on Game Rant, so that's doing particularly well. And you can go and see that now straight away.
We actually put that out today, didn't we? On Wired Live, where Unplugged lives, where you see Jake and Aaron every week doing their stuff.
Yeah.
And if you don't see us, if you in fact hear us, then it might be news to you. Maybe it's news to you that we are also on YouTube with full visual aid.
Yeah.
You can see us. We're all beautiful people.
Yeah.
We're sweaty people right
You can
now.
see my dog.
You can see his dog.
My dog just literally just for this come into frame.
Yep.
So
there we go.
yeah, it's also a place you can see trailers. You can check out some of the stuff there that even though it's been put on Game Rant, it's always going to be on Wired.
Watch organic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then another big one. We sold loads of the Falconeer vinyl, which you can see up there behind me. That's the gorgeous blue one. But we did have a few people say to us, "Well, I haven't played the game," and we went, "Oh, well, we can understand maybe why you wouldn't want the soundtrack then if you haven't played the game." So we decided, part of the indie game, this indie summer of gaming that we've got going on, we decided to give you 50% off the game if you buy the vinyl.
Wow.
So
I didn't know about this.
yeah.
Who made this decision? You're
Only
going to
made this
bankrupt us,
decision
Steve. You're going to
about an hour
bankrupt
ago,
us.
but get on the Wired store, stick the vinyl in your basket, stick a copy of the game on PS4 or Switch in your basket. It'll knock 50% off the game.
Very cool.
50% off. You know what I mean? So you are talking an absolute bargain there. And we've just got that running. I think we've got it running for this week. We may extend it, but the vinyl's absolutely flying out like a falcon.
Very good. Yeah, very good. This I feel like this vinyl, if you're a long time listener to the podcast, then you'll have heard a lot about this from many different sources, but now it's out in the wild, so you can, something left the nest, something.
Early bird adopters will already have one. That kind of,
too easy. Nice one, guys. Nice one.
Easy.
All right. I mean, look, but this isn't it. And there's a little bit more information in the Wired propaganda tank. We can't talk about the Arcade Paradise news on the 29th. So
we really shouldn't.
Let's not talk about that.
Let's not talk about that. June 29th. That's the date, right? We're not allowed to mention it. We can't talk about it. We can't tell people.
Aaron will have
a
lot to say to me next week.
Okay. So, well, we'll just
and we won't tell Aaron. All right. So there is a lot more individual kind of news about each specific game we've mentioned, which we can, again, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, this means nothing to you.
No.
But just brought to you by the sort of, what was it called? Post-production effects.
Yeah.
Of Curtis.
Yeah, Curtis, you're going to love this, mate.
All right.
We're going to give him a workout.
We're going to give you a workout, all right? A little visual effects workout, whatever that means. Unless he
Alright.
wants to like give me muscles, which he could also do as a visual effects. But that's entirely on him. But all of this news, you might be listening to everything that Steve and Jacob just mentioned and gone, that's an awful lot. But you know what? Maybe you've looked at Gory and you don't like the idea of cats killing unicorns because you really like unicorns. You know what? We get you. But you really like the idea of tin arts and you're like, I want to stay up to date with that, but not everything else. Well, we've also recently launched brand new socials for all of our games across all of the platforms where you can just go, you know what? I only want to see about Tin Hearts. I only want to see about The Last Worker. I only want to see cats killing unicorns in my feed. So as well as wishlisting them and playing the demos, which you can right now for both Tin Hearts and Last Worker on Steam until Monday. So you've got a couple of days, depending on when you see this. You should also be sure you are following, I'm going to try to remember these off the top of my head, King Wash Arcade, at King Wash Arcade for Arcade Paradise on Twitter. You should be following Gory Carnage, that's at Gory Carnage on Twitter, and you'll see that at the end of the trailer that you'll be able to go on there. You should be following at The Last Worker for all of your Last Worker needs, and you should also be following Lumote the Game, even though that one's already out. Steve's putting a lot of cool squishy stuff on there for you to be paying attention to, and at Tin Hearts Game on Twitter in order to go and see all of the latest Tin Hearts news. And that's where you'll be finding all the stuff.
That was good off the top of your head, that as well. So listen, if anything there was wrong, come on, don't blame the guy.
Yeah, don't blame it.
So,
well, can I just add? And they're all on Facebook as well.
And they're all on Facebook as well.
Facebook. Yeah.
All on Facebook.
Or Meta.
And
Meta. Ian Nans.
What is it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Shout out to the Facebook crew that are still keeping that going.
Shouts out to Facebook, right? So let's talk about the news at large then, gents. We've done a good stint now in the propaganda canon, like I say. So we'll play the jingle and then we're free to roam.
News we stole from Google.
I don't know how much, I want to give Google credit for this one because, to be honest, they haven't done anything for me this week. Normally, this is what Aaron brings us to gaming news, but we don't have like a specific like jingle just for this is the E3 special. But we'll do a little appetizer before. I just wanted to ask if I've reviewed. It's okay if not, because gosh, there's a lot going on.
There is.
I happen to have a little look at the Steam Next Fest, which started on the 13th, which was Monday. If you listen to this fresh. And it runs for a week. I just wanted to ask if you've checked that out, or if you just checked out historically. Have you ever been interested in Next Fest? How's your experience of it?
Do you want to run first, Steve?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, obviously, we've got games currently in it.
Yeah.
So that is why we're interested in it.
Yeah.
So we are. We've got The Last Worker in there, and we've got Tin Hearts in there. You can actually go and play those demos right now.
Yeah.
And make sure you wishlist them. And that's what I would do. As for other games, yeah, I've checked out quite a few other bits and pieces as well. You've got to have a little look at the competition. But, indie gaming, it's a big family. We all live under the same broad church. So, if you're the sort of person that plays, like, you make indie games, chances are you're going to play them and you're probably going to want to play other people's indie games. And we do. So, yeah, I've had a dabble, put it that way, but there's still plenty. I think the weekend is going to be a big session
for me. The Next Fest is quite interesting. Like back in the day, like we're old aged heads at this stuff. Back in the day, the kind of Summerfest, the big Steam festivals, be it Next Fest, be it Summerfest, be it whatever, they were kind of the times where you would immediately jump on sales where things were incredibly cheap to catch up with what you'd been missing throughout the year. You'd kind of. It's quite interesting because I find with Next, as it's come across the past couple of years, it's now more for games that I just didn't know existed to begin with, rather than trying to catch up with games that I'd been trying to keep an eye on. And I think a lot of that has just been down to really how I personally do consume content nowadays. Like a lot of these, these big festivals that we've had going on over the past couple of weeks, I tend to not have a lot of time to go watch those. I have a busy work life, busy home life. But I do watch a lot of streamers, watch a lot of content creators, and then shout out to those people that will, during the course of these festivals, go, I'm going to make a list of all the demos that I'm interested in, and I'm going to go stream them, and I'm going to do whatever. And you keep them on in the background. You'll glance up and be like, that looks real good, cool. I'm going to make a note of that. That's going on my wish list. Like that's what these kind of fests have become for me personally, is just kind of a lot of people I know that make really cool content are going to have a lot of content to work with, and I'm going to cherry pick through all of it to find out what I'm interested in, which is great. That's fantastic for me. So
Yeah, it's a huge change. You're dead right. The summer sale and the Steam winter sale was like the time where, you'd do your purchasing, wouldn't you? Like,
yeah,
to the point where like almost like people would be like, I don't want to buy this right now. I'll wait for the sale.
yeah,
So
God.
I don't know. I don't know how. I don't really know how good that is when you think about that
It's
sustainability
a,
wise.
it's a weird race to the bottom, isn't it? Where you're like, on the one hand, I remember being 16, 17 and being like, that's like 20 quid right now, but I know in about 4 months it'll probably be about 10, so I'll wait. Yeah. And now I'm like, make me rich, buy our games. What the heck? Stop waiting.
But what you tend to find is that a big sale like that comes around, you buy 10 games, you never
play
even
them,
open
no.
them. They're just in my Steam wish list. That's why I need a Steam Deck as well.
Yeah, well, that's what my Steam Deck's for. I'm finally dusting off some of these games that I think, oh my gosh, But there's some games I thought I needed to kind of do my duty and get some of the classics, right? So let's talk about a classic. I wanted to get I did on Steam. I don't own Skyrim.
What? How?
Right?
It's on your toaster now. How do you not have it on Steam? What?
I think that's why. The most obvious place
Yeah,
where I
that's
don't
true.
have it. So I went to buy it on Steam. Do you know how much it is?
Oh,
Now, in the year of our Lord, 2022,
I'm gonna say £3.42.
more than 10 times that.
What?
It's $34.99 for
No.
Skyrim
No.
2022.
Todd, all right, where's Todd? Get Todd.
And
He's moved on, mate. He's moved
How
on.
where? What?
I wonder if this is maybe because of the opposite of a sale, maybe because of now, like it's E3 time. He knows that it's going to be in everyone's head, like the Bethesda did a big showcase on Sunday, you see.
They did.
So I thought maybe that's the time I thought maybe he was ramping it up so on the day they can say, and we're on a sale. But no, another game I don't own, embarrassingly, on Steam, but which I wanted to get, it was £34 as well, was The Witcher 3. I own it on PlayStation. I had it on PS4 day one. And anyway, mercifully, I added it to my wish list. 1 day later, it moved down to £6. So I was like, oh, okay. So the old gods are in my favor. So
you take those. You take those.
So the wish list system, stuff like that is brilliant. So Next Fest and wish lists, I can see how it's all interlinked. But what you mentioned about Next Fest, I think is super, super like insightful there. Like that it's become not about getting things that you've missed. It's now about things that you don't want to miss. It's avoiding FOMO rather than kind of encouraging. You know what I mean? So it's been interesting. It's been interesting just to see how it scales every year. It doubled last time, and now it's doubled again.
I mean, what was it last year before? It was like 400, 500
400 games,
or something? And
695 games in Feb, 1,400 games this time.
And that's only going to get bigger. And you kind of, to point out, I mean, that's just kind of the natural cycle of everything, right? Like you're small until a lot of people find out about you, and then you're big, and then all of a sudden the small doesn't serve the small anymore, and something new will pop up.
Wow.
So who knows? 2 or 3 years time, maybe there's a Steam Next Plus that's small. Like
it's tough, isn't it? Because what I think is especially tough is that like the algorithm. It says, when you go on the Steam Next Fest, the top thing you see is most downloaded game. So that'll just sustain itself. Yeah. So the top stays the top, and then it'll be the most wishlisted game, which will be again like the most. So and that's only like a list of like 10 games at a time. So you've got to go through 140 pages to do all of that. So,
but that's not to interject on there, but like that's something that we. Again, we're not going to give away trade secrets or anything here, but understanding and playing the algorithm, even when it comes to console platforms, be it on the Switch, be it on Steam, be it on anything like that, is very much, it's the same as a social media manager having to understand and be able to manipulate, Twitter algorithms or TikTok algorithms, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is like you say, the way that they handle that with it being most downloaded. Well, you know what? If your game's not out yet, you're not going to be in with a shot of that one. Most wish listed. Well, maybe you've had, as we had, some really nice placement with trailers with a little site called IGN and so on and so forth that gets people immediately going to wish list it. But really, the only real shot that the smaller places do have when things like these hit is that word of mouth. It's that highly mobilized group of people that, people that have seen streamers doing it, playing demos or becoming advocates for games because they just somewhat showed it off. I mean, heck, I'm not going to lie. One of the things that we marked out really, really hard on was, we straight up have clips of Shroud, of all people, like laughing, watching the gory trailer, going, yeah, this looks fun. This looks crazy. You know how many people would lose their minds marketing wise to tell them, what if we could get Shroud sat watching your trailer saying that looked fun? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy,
it's bonkers. And that's kind of, we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, that thing of content creators are a big thing now, because sometimes bigger in some ways than a lot of traditional media when it comes to this stuff. So you might get way more wish lists from an event like OTK because streamers and people that people watch are glowing your stuff up over traditionally going, well, let's sling our thing in the Steam Next Fest and hope for the best. Like,
yeah, I think it's becoming more and more, I think, like a Kickstarter to me, where it started off as like a super cool idea for like homegrown ideas to kind of like almost a necessity to now it's just kind of like fatigue that, no one's looking at Kickstarter every day. I mean, maybe they are, but
I know so many. Do you know people? I feel like everyone has one of these friends that just spend a lot on Kickstarter. I've never Kickstarted anything in my life, and that's not because I don't want to. It's just because I tend to find out about things after they've already been done and Kickstarter and whatever.
And you want your things within like 7 years,
But I know people that are like, oh, this is like my 250th back project, and I'm like,
oh my gosh.
how?
Have you got anything to share?
Have I got a bridge to sell you, my friend? Like let's go.
Well, I'll just say there's a lot of vinyl on Kickstarter.
Is there?
Steve, how many?
There's a lot of vinyl. I've bought loads of things on Kickstarter.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've been burnt on Kickstarter.
Oh, I was about
no.
to say, can we have a good thing and a bad thing? You don't need to name and
Yeah,
shame.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I
A
can.
good thing and a
Yeah,
bad thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kickstarter heaven and
Next.
Kickstarter hell.
I got a Spectrum Next.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful bit of kit. I've hardly ever used it, but it is
you've
a
got
really
it.
nice bit
It
of
delivered.
kit. Yeah. And they then did a second run of it, and it almost doubled in price. But beautiful bit of kit. And then I also got ordered the handheld Sinclair Vega.
Right. Okay.
You might not have heard of that one, and that one didn't.
I'm
go
googling
quite
it
so
right
well.
now.
No relation to the Street Fighter character, I'm guessing.
Well, he's just as deadly.
Oh no.
But yeah, it's yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see here. So all right.
Yeah.
Nice. Right. Well, yeah, that's the thing with Kickstarter. It's very difficult, isn't it, to figure it out.
Well, I think sometimes if you want something, sometimes you're just backing somebody's dream, aren't you?
Yeah.
So somebody puts an idea to you, and you go, actually, yeah, I'd like to see that. I think, I'm backing live shows as well, like Digitizer. They've done a live show. Yeah, I want the DVD of it, so I'll put an extra 20 quid. Well, I think they're doing an extra badge set, so there's an extra 30 quid. Next thing you know, I'm about £200 in the hole. Somebody
that's how they get you.
Might not happen.
Yeah, I think I kickstarted 2 things. Both of them have been about 3 years ago, and both of them aren't a huge yes.
Oh no, Jake! No.
No, they seem legit. Like they're big things.
Any day now, Jake. Any day.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. We'll find out, won't we? We'll find.
No, legit. Actually, though, I shouldn't laugh, and we shouldn't be too ham on that, because we even published a game that had come from an initial Kickstarter project, and that would not have even probably fallen on our radar had it not. So, like, that's do invest in Kickstarter. Do, if you have the money and you are passionate about things, but also do your research.
Yeah,
super do your research.
Yeah, there's a curation there thing, isn't there? So. Speaking of curation, tenuous segue, but I'll try my hardest.
You're really good at this.
I'm not.
You've done this before.
These games, there's lots of them. So no better way to curate than get, I don't know, Jeff Keighley on a stage or whatever to smile and, be very excited about all of these games on the way. So listen, I mentioned to you guys before we recorded, but now I will make my confession. Jake Kulkowski, watched a whopping 15 direct style live streams this year. I've got a recap of pretty much all the major points to present to you, and I watched 410 trailers
That's a
Um,
lot of trailers.
yeah.
When did you have time to sleep,
Well,
eat,
I actually
things
had
like that?
well, this is the thing. I mean, I actually did have a day off because it was my birthday, and I spent my birthday with old Jeff Keighley, not with him.
Oh,
I'm not Hideo Kojima,
yeah.
but I was watching it at night, and I catch up in the morning. There's a website. We're not affiliated with it at all, but it's not for profit, so I don't mind shouting it out. It's a website literally called e3recap.com, and it's just some little bedroom coder who's
Oh,
correlated every single E3 show and put it in a really cool UI. You can see
Yeah.
every single game that was shown in order with all the trailers. You don't have to watch anyone on stage bluffing their lines. I mean, some people are really into that. I remember the Konami E3s from years ago. They are pretty funny. But if
Yeah.
you want to just get into the all killer, no filler aspect of it, you can just go there. It's got everything. It's got the OTK. It's got Goria OTK. It's got everything there, and you can check it out. But it's color coded all of the little things. So I sit through them and I burn through them. It started on Thursday. That was when the summer of gaming started. As Jeff Keighley has tried to kind of, like I say, herd it all in, and then he had a bit of a showcase there where he was showing off a bunch of stuff. Like there was tons of games. Literally, if I went through all 410 of them, we wouldn't have time, would we? But what I'll
I
say,
had images of you just sat
Well, let's
Clockwork
do
Orange
that. Let's just go
style,
through them all.
with just your eyes like held open and having them beamed into you while you sleep, just full on
just
Clockwork
literally,
Orange. Like,
this is another farm. Well, let me kind of just correlate some data for you.
hit me.
I'll tell you what the trends I saw this year were: lots of vampires,
Mhm.
lots of space, lots of farming, and quite a lot of bears.
Not
the
enough
anim-
space vampires though.
Not a single space vampire. Actually, I don't think so.
All right.
That but
Devs,
look, yeah,
get on
devs,
it.
yeah.
Get on it. Get on it. We've got the
Listen.
vampires. We've got space. Combine the two.
There's
We'll publish it.
time.
Do it.
Make him a bear as well, and we'll be.
Yeah.
Oh.
Honestly, like you
How
need.
would- How would a vampire even sleep in space? Because don't they need to sleep upside down? And in space, it's like zero gravity, so they'd just be spinning.
So they're
Space
always
anchor.
upside down then.
Space anchor.
A space anchor. They're gonna have to try and make it work. So like we started on Thursday officially, but me and Aaron we ended up talking a little bit about the PlayStation showcase. I think we did at least off recording, and that the big thing there was that it kind of got, well, I don't know, like there was a lot the Jeff Keighley show, and then PlayStation had a lot at the end of the Jeff Keighley show. So the Last of Us Part 1 got leaked online 2 hours before. I don't know if you saw this, guys, but
Which, yeah, you got to feel. I think Jeff Keighley's like shrugging emoji tweet just kind of said it all when that leaked. It was just like, well,
it's a shame that, isn't it?
What are you gonna do, really? Like,
It was a shame. There was, for those that don't know what I'm on about, The Last of Us, like one of the most critically acclaimed RPG, not an RPG, an action game, I guess, third person action game by Naughty Dog, came out 8 years ago. It's getting a complete like remake from the ground up on the PS5. But PlayStation accidentally put the trailer live. It was unlisted, I guess, and they put it live a little bit early, so everyone had seen it in like full quality just before. And that was sadly the highlight of the show. Like, that was the big finish, wasn't it?
yeah.
So they had everyone on stage and just talking about the leaks. But I burned through very fast what we saw at Jeff Keighley's extravaganza. All right. Street Fighter 6 was shown off. Aliens, Dark Descent, the Callisto Protocol, which is, don't call it Dead Space. It's Dead Space by the Dead Space people, but they don't own the rights anymore, so it's not Dead Space. But which was weirdly supposed to be part of the PUBG universe at one point.
Yeah, I remember that. That which I don't know if that was really clever marketing by them to be like, okay, this is part of the PUBG universe, just to get everyone talking about how weird it was that a game was part of the PUBG universe, and then they scrapped that.
They were like, psych. So
No,
there
it
was.
isn't.
So let's just start a quick tally. Callisto Protocol, game in space. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, like a reboot. Flashback 2 in space. Witchfire, Fort Solace in space. Oh, sorry, I mentioned Aliens before, in space. So we're 6 games in, 4 of them are in space. There was Routine, Outriders World's Air in space, Fall Guys, Stormgate in space, High Water in space, I'm not going to carry on, but you get the point. It was about
This-
80% space.
Yeah, that's a lot of space. It was beginning to sound like a Flight to the Conchords song there for a
Yeah,
second.
no,
It
yeah,
really was.
There was a lot. I think my favorite, I don't know if you guys saw this, but my favorite moment from it, which was funny, was that Goat Simulator 3 was announced. There isn't a Goat Simulator 2, which is
No,
just funny.
which is the best.
Yeah.
They went, and the trailer was a parody of the Dead Islands 2 trailer,
Yeah.
which is like this really classic trailer of somebody running on like a kind of Bay Area runway or
Yeah.
whatever, with a zombie apocalypse going on behind. I love that because I really did believe for about 20 seconds. It's quite a long time to be believing something.
Yeah.
20 seconds when you think about it, you know. So there was that. There was a bit of a showcase of this game called Nightingale. I thought that looked pretty cool, like some early access survival game. Get used to that because there's going to be a lot of that in the next few minutes. And then The Last of Us. But I mean, did you end up catching any of this Jeff Keighley stuff? Or
Only the
Yeah.
you know, the leak stuff beforehand kind of took like you say, a lot of the sting away from that. You know, once that was out, everyone was like kind of, well, the Columbo one more thing is now the thing before the show's even happened. So you know, why the heck? But I mean, yeah, the kind of the highlights that you pushed off there. I mean, you know, the protocol game, the Don't Call It Dead Space game. It was super nice to actually just see that as a thing, because I think, you know, once you saw exactly how Dead Space that was, you were like, okay, cool. Like, I understand exactly what this is. It's one of these. I'm gonna have a great time with this. Really looking forward to it. And yeah, Goat Simulator 3, playing from the McPixel playbook of announcing a sequel to a game that hasn't actually been sequelized yet is, I hope it doesn't get overdone, but it's still funny to do that now. So keep doing that for a little bit, I guess, publishers.
yeah,
Yeah, there was still some good moments in there. It wasn't an A game, I would say. Not trying to start beef with Jeff Keighley or anything. You know, I like Doritos as much as the next guy. But you know, it wasn't a tuck your trousers into your socks, you know, blow off show, but it was enjoyable. You know, the trailers were good. It was nice to see some stuff for the first time. Shame about the leaks, but you know, it was a show. It was a Keighley show. You knew what you were getting.
Yeah, it was. I guess it was pretty consistent. I think it was interesting that he went down the route of showing a lot of games that have already been announced, just in a bit more detail. Yeah. Which is nice because otherwise, you know, it could have just been a whole hour of CGI promises, couldn't it?
Have you done it yet? Liked, subscribed, hit a review, left us a nice note, emailed us? Come on, pull your finger out, young one. Well, come on.
Couldn't it?
Can
It could have
I
just.
ask- Sorry, can I ask a question of you? I want to know what you think on this, Jake.
What, the Jeff Keighley thing?
Yeah,
or...
no, well, just as a show, the Call of Duty trailers and how they are shown nowadays. Are you kind of tired of them?
Well, yeah, I laughed. My wife's not really into any of this sort of game and stuff. So, like, you know, sometimes I take over the big telly to watch
the big telly.
I get
Special day. Happy birthday.
It was my birthday. Yeah, exactly. It was my birthday. So, like,
the big telly on.
so I ordered a pizza and I had the big telly on to do this. And we had a little chuckle to ourselves because the Call of Duty trailer had a bit of a foot, like, this is kind of like, you know, with all due respect to Activision, they had it was a more money than sense thing where Jeff Keighley was on stage and he could have just said, here's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and then showed the gameplay. But what happened, he said, here's the head of Sledgehammer Games to introduce the trailer, and they were on an abandoned freighter just walking towards the camera with a 3-camera setup. Go and watch it back. There's 3 cameras for her saying, we're so excited to show the next game. Then the yeah, exactly. It was literally 45 degrees, you know. And then the camera does a drone shot up, and it's the Modern Warfare 2 logo out of like whatever. I think out of shipping crates or whatever. I'm like, how much did that cost in money? Like
a lot.
And why? Like, so that was my opinion.
Well,
on
we're
that.
talking about it, aren't we?
No, we are, and
yeah,
and it works, and it works, and honestly, I feel that is more like that sticks more in the memory than the actual when they show the gameplay of the trailers themselves. And it's like they've got this formula now. Like I'm you know, Call of Duty, it's kind of not my bag now. You know, I don't.
Mm.
The kids beat me at it. Is what I'm trying to say. I'm bad at Call
Yeah.
of Duty. I get beaten. But the whole here's like 3 minutes of soldiers talking to each other on the way to something to set the scene, and then mad combat, and then vehicle section, and then out. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen the same thing for like the past 8 Call of Duties at these events now, and it's like,
Yeah.
find a different way to do it. Like if I get one more black screen opening to 4 rugged-looking men leaning while the
In a
text
vehicle.
comes up in the corner,
Men
and then there's an
leaning, yeah.
explosion, and then
Yeah,
sort of
exactly.
like okay, I get it's a type of game, but I don't know. Like surely there's got to be cooler ways to show off what Call of Duty.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you're quite right, and I guess it's. I mean, yeah, for me, it's like there's no point getting too attached to these characters because they're going to be rebooted in 4 games anyway.
I mean,
The
there is
literally,
that.
the last proper Call of Duty I played was Modern Warfare 2,
Mm.
but not this one.
But like OG, Modern
Yeah,
Warfare.
but not this one. Yeah, the one that I think one of the people who did that is doing Callisto Protocol now. It was made by him and Vince Zampella, who makes Apex Legends.
Of course. Yeah,
It was
Respawn,
Infinity
but
Ward, and yeah. So I mean, you know, it's good for somebody, but it's just not me. So like that's what I thought. The Jeff Keighley show. Like to be honest, yeah, I like horror, and I was like, oh, we got Callisto Protocol. The big rumor that me and Aaron have been talking about for weeks on end is Silent Hill, right?
Don't.
This is all I have to say. And this is my only incendiary comment during this whole podcast. Okay, so we can prepare to edit it out accordingly. Why are you naming the sequel to Layers of Fear 1 and Layers of Fear 2 Layers of Fears? Doesn't roll off the tongue.
No.
Why would you do that? The only thing I thought was, is that some sort of like little joke about because Silent Hill had a Silent Hills?
Yeah.
Layers of Fears. There's too many S's there.
You know what they should have done is they should have made. I mean, it would have been even worse of a mouthful, but they should have just put the 3.
The 3.
In fear.
Just put the 3.
Like
yeah.
layers of for
Threer. Layers of Threer.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's it.
Didn't they do that with Fear 3?
They did, and it was
Yeah,
awful,
so
and it was the
worked.
best.
Oh, it's great.
For a
It's great.
year. Yeah, exactly. Do what you want, but just don't chuck asses on the end of things. So, yeah, look, I mean, that was Jeff Keighley's extravaganza. Devolver then followed suit with just a bunch of like well-paced marketing. Say no more in it. It's Devolver. They do what they want.
Devolver, like honestly, they blow the doors off every year.
Yeah.
They do.
We're on about Steam Next Fest.
Yeah.
The number 1, 2, 3, and 5 top games are all the Devolver games.
I mean,
that were shown off.
do you remember? I mean, I know this is a Wired podcast, but like we said earlier, like these kind of events, you look at all.
It has to be, yeah.
You look at everything that everyone's doing. You know, that's where the inspiration comes from. That's where you see and you appreciate when you see a really well-made trailer or a really cool marketing idea. You're like, oh, holy heck, y'all blew that out of the water. Good job. Like, yo, get that bread. Get that bread.
Yeah,
But like a couple of years back, I think, when it was the first of the digital events after it all kind of gone a bit weird and COVID-y, where they had a Steam game as a E3 thing that had all of their other games.
Yeah.
And that was their entire thing was, you can't be here. There's no conference. So go Steam, download this and go see all of our games that we're announcing. And
they've kind of become they're like the gold standard, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think they're kind of in a weird thing. I think a lot of indie publishers like yourselves look at what they do and think this is how we do things without, hiring out a freighter to do our game intros like Activision. I think Activision have boardroom meetings about wanting to be Devolver Digital because they're cool with it. And I think every indie developer wants to go, we could do a Devolver-esque. They've become that. So well done to them. From a completely
great show,
pathetic,
really enjoyable.
But they bring the heat. I mean, so there's that. But let's not give our honourable rivals too much credit.
No.
I don't know if I was going to give them credit for one thing, for one trailer though. How good did Skate Story look?
Yeah.
You see that? I mean, what was it? It says a demon made of glass and pain.
Yeah, like that's just so edgy in the way that game
glass
matches
and pain.
Yeah,
like so good, all about it.
And I mean, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? You're like skating into like a giant crimson full moon.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's ridiculous, isn't it? So speaking of ridiculous board-based games, we go to the Ign Expo where our beloved cat Gory Cuddly Carnage was there, which was a nice palate cleanser from what was, again, to be honest, guys, but like I've been looking Gory was on, yeah. Then there was Star Keepers. Then there was Coral Island, a 3D farming simulator, kind of like Stardew Valley. And then there was Roots of Pasha, a 2D farming simulator, kind of like Stardew Valley, but in the caveman times. Then there was Super Zoo Story, which on its own gameplay trailer has called itself a Stardew Valley like.
I'm beginning to notice a pattern here, Jake.
Then there was Dinkum. These are all right after each other. And then there was Dinkum, an actual 3D farming sim. I was blown away. I was like, bring the cat back. And then we had Outriders. So, like, honestly, like, great news for farmers and digital farmers. Like, there was a lot of that at the Ign Expo. But I've got to admit, like, they showed off quite a lot of cool stuff with a nice scope, like Gory. You know, we know that that's not a AAA 800-hour long JRPG experience.
Yeah, but people are going to be very mad when they find out that after the first level, it's all a farming sim. People are going to be so mad.
Yeah, you help rear those unicorns again on a ramp.
That's it. Just like, you could have grown that nip for me. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. So you know, like, honestly, like, it was nice. And actually, you know, I kind of poking fun at the fact that everything was a farming sim, but I love this is to me. This is the sort of stuff that I like to play to unwind, you know.
You just got it in your veins, that entire presentation.
I don't know.
Just like,
I loved it. And you know what? Like, my garden's a mess. I don't know how to use a lawnmower. And I've got, like, my garden's quite nice because I live in the middle of nowhere in Wales. And it needs to be looked after. And yet here I am. If it's a virtual garden, I'm like, yes, absolutely. No. So I need to get a grip, really. But in the meantime, I will play every single one of these, line them up for me. And then IGN literally 5 in a row. So it was good that I was watching Gory and I was like, what's going to follow that? Star Keepers? Okay. And then just farming. So, but I've got to admit, like, it was a nice mix of games and I liked the scope. And then, you got, it kind of ended with like a nice bunch of sci-fi. Saw some Last Worker there. I like that. So, let me look. I'm going to have to go light speed now because we've been talking for a while and we're only on Friday. You know, on the weekend. We're not even at the weekend.
This is how much there was, though. This is literally, it just didn't stop.
Yeah.
It didn't stop. I felt like every day it was, okay, that's the end of that. And now the extended.
I thought I'd caught up. I'd go to sleep and at 3 a.m, the Californians were like, here's 50 more. So the Californians were California-ing and they made the Queen's Gambit game announcement.
Yeah.
Yes, it is chess.
Yeah.
But with Anya Taylor-Joy's digital face on it. So I was laughing at that. But, you know, one thing I do think is kind of cool is if you own Netflix, you don't share it off your family or whatever, then you can play this for free with everyone else that has Netflix. So you can just do a bit of chess on your TV, battering people. I was going to ask you guys, kind of irrelevant, but connected. Did you play any of those like Sky TV games? Do you know what I'm on about?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Beehive Bedlam.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the one.
Yeah.
Reminds me of them.
Yeah. I used to play all the CFAX games and quizzes like Bamboozle.
Oh,
Yeah.
God,
Bamboozle.
Bamboozle.
Yeah. Well, it's like that. It's like a really modernized version of that, isn't it? Yeah, a bit of a brain scratcher. The Queen's Gambit game, aka chess, was announced as part of Netflix's Geeked Week, which is like they announced some games. So they announced like I think 11 games over that. So that happened, and then it just carried on. We had the Future Play show. I'm just gonna there was a Lord of the Rings game. Finally, like a new Lord of the Rings game, first time in ages. It was another crafting survival game, and you were some dwarfs.
In a Lord of the Rings game, outrageous.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, all right. So that's good. I mean, good. I like Battle for Middle Earth 2, still up there.
The thing is, I mean, not to I know you want them to move lightning speed through,
No,
but
no.
I feel like Lord of the Rings is one of those universes that, like, honestly, I think the further away they get from the main, what people would say canon Lord of the Rings stuff, like the better. You know what I mean? Like that world that was created is so vast and so wide that you could turn around and go, there's this group of 7 dwarves that were actually master fishermen and they had a great adventure about catching a big fish, and it totally worthy of an entire 2 games. And I'd be like, yeah, I could totally believe that. And the more you try and tie it to the ring stuff, the weirder it gets. So don't do that.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, stop trying to tell me that the character that I've played secretly was the linchpin
Yeah.
in the whole
Oh,
campaign.
He
like
made the shoelaces
Yeah.
that Legolas was wearing when he slid
protected
down the
eagle's
stairs on his
eggs.
shield.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, stop that.
Yeah, no, you're right. Just let it happen in it. Just Middle Earth as a setting.
Yeah.
There's so much there, isn't there? So
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. So I was a bit shocked that this was a kind of like, to that end, because Lord of the Rings was a blueprint for a lot of this high fantasy stuff.
Yeah, God, yeah.
It could equally be nothing to do with Lord of the Rings whatsoever. Would just totally make sense. So these dwarfs mining. I mean, there's already loads of games about dwarfs mining or farming.
Yeah.
So I guess
In
giving
space, even. In space, there's literally space rock. Yeah, exactly.
Shouts out
Like,
Deep Rock Galactic. Yeah,
great game. Great
so
game.
that is about dwarfs mining in space. If you don't know, so
Great with friends. Brilliant with friends.
Yeah, this is the type of game I'm looking for. So, so to burn through, then we got we had Future Games show right after that. Loads of games there. There was a game about a vegan vampire. So it was a farming game and a vampire game. It's called Voltaire the Vegan Vampire. That made me laugh.
Make him an astronaut. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. If he has to, eventually Earth runs out of parsnips or whatever, and he's to like space or whatever, then we're there, aren't we? There was a bunch of stuff. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this. This is what an interesting topic actually, and it's this. I'll give you a little stat first. I'll give you a bit of pub quiz trivia.
Love it.
Did you know last year at the E3 summer extravaganza thing, 32% of all games shown were non-violent, completely non-violent.
I'm shocked at that.
This is a trend that continues to grow, and that number's only increased to now 38%. There you go. Good, that's good stats, that isn't it? And the biggest showcase in that is what they call the Wholesome Games Direct. So this is the one of the directs of a lot of sentiment because it's got a real grassroots vibe. A lot of it's indie devs, some of them are solo devs. It was kind of organized originally through Twitter of all things. It has a real hodgepodge aspect to it. It's a bunch of people that spend far too much time on Discord, basically getting together and putting the idea together in it. Community managers and social media experts and that. And they put together the Wholesome Direct. And it's literally just this barrage of low poly graphics, pastel splash of frogs trying to find their way through life. That's kind of the vibe.
You just described life in general.
It sounds good, doesn't it? That
really does.
Yeah, that sounds
Cover
good.
me in pastel and just leave me on my lily pad.
Yeah, well, literally, this could be the place for you, the Wholesome Direct. There was so many, and I just wanted to ask if you can remember. This is a difficult question.
Okay.
Maybe the first game that you played that was completely non-violent, that doesn't involve like Tetris or whatever. Can you remember like an action game or an RPG? Because I guess I'm trying to lightly prove a point here that these games were pretty rare, kind of, especially going back a few years. It's quite hard to find a game.
I guess the one that I can remember, and it did have, I guess, some mild violence in it, but it
mild
was
violence is a good
mild
band
violence, but it was incredibly mild, and it wasn't ever actioned by the player in any way, shape, or form. And I guess it might be one of the reasons why it stuck out so damn much to me that I can actually pull this and put it to you, and that would be Journey. I guess is possibly like the one where it was. You're going through really nice environments and you're jumping. That's it. That's all the interaction you had with the world was jumping. And yes,
the fabulous scarf.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yes, okay, a couple of stone things would attack you and knock you over, but that was kind of it. Like that was the threat. That was the violence. But that's still one of my favorite games of all time. And that had nothing violent in it whatsoever, really.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is almost an exercise of the first one that comes to mind, actually.
Yeah.
Because
God, that's hard though. It's hard, especially if you take out all your puzzle games and
you can't even say Pong because I've seen what you do to people that beat you.
Yeah,
they're definitely violent game. This is it.
Probably for me, it'd probably be something like Katamari Damacy because all you do is collect in that game. You don't actually hurt anyone.
No, well, maybe if they got caught up in that ball, but not intentionally. Manslaughter charge there, but at best. So
Katamari on a manslaughter charge.
Yeah, Katamari manslaughter. It's like that's another good band name.
That's a great band name. They joined. What was the other band we've got?
The Kenzie and Lemons.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, Dickensian Lemons and Katamari Manslaughter.
Yeah,
Very good.
they actually
Yeah.
opened for them at download
Yeah.
this year. It was
Band name of the week sorted. Brilliant. But, I think maybe we could get a band name of the week jingle. To be
I
honest
think
with
there
you,
needs to
I
be
think
one.
there's a lot,
I think
isn't
there
there?
needs to be one.
Yeah.
It's you know what I mean. To me, the only one that came to my mind subconsciously because I've just been banging on about farming games for so long. I had to just think, oh, Harvest Moon, obviously. But the first one I played that was non-violent was like the original Animal Crossing on the GameCube. But even then,
Yeah.
I was like, wouldn't it be good if I could just batter people like enemy slimes or something? So you know what I mean? Not
Hey,
in a
come on.
away.
Come on. You
Yeah.
used to push them into the pits, though, hadn't you?
That's what I mean. Yeah, this is what I'm on
Yeah.
about. This is what I
Yeah.
mean. So now
all
there's
did
so
it.
many games where it's like, you know, and a lot of them, there's a lot of environmentalism in it. Like, you know, that one of the kind of tying into a lot of things we've spoken about, a Devolver game and a game that's doing very well at Steam Next Fest at the moment. It's a strategy game called Terra Nil, right? I don't know if you've seen this one.
No, I
And
missed
it's
this
very,
one.
very interesting because it's a real-time strategy game, which is normally about colonizing and, you know, going to war en masse. This is a game that's kind of like, you know, like the movie Wall-E. You're just like a robot and you're on a kind of a fucked planet.
Yeah.
And then you have to just like add loads of saplings or whatever and save it and clean up all of the rubbish. But that's it.
Yeah,
Terranil's the game.
I'd forgotten the name, but yes, I do remember. I've seen stuff with this where you are, like you say, you're like reversing the damage, basically being done.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly. So you're
backward-
planting wind
backwards.
farms
Yeah,
instead of power plants.
yeah, that's
But
neat.
it's got a really cool, you know, good little, you know, click to it and all that. So like honestly, there was a ton of games there like that. The Wholesome Direct had a bunch of games, a lot of farming games, and the most brightly colored presentation of all, and a lot of frogs. They love a frog there on
Yep.
Wholesome Direct. So there we go, Steve. If you want to improve your repertoire of non-violence, then I would recommend that.
I'll stick to COD.
Yeah, get on that freighter, man.
Yeah, go on that freighter.
so right, so yeah, I guess we move closer towards the big moments here, right? So yeah,
Yep.
Future Game Show, they did that thing. They showed off a bunch of stuff. Like, it's one that I think is more relevant in the UK than anywhere else. Like with Future being more of a UK kind of
publish,
thing.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anything stood out for you in any of these, but if not, we'll just talk about Xbox. And
No, I think time wise, like let's move
do.
Xbox.
let's go.
Let's tackle
Okay.
the big boy.
Xbox. It started off. It's Xbox in Bethesda. And it started off with Redfall. Did you watch this? I didn't, by the way.
So
was
I
late.
did, and I actually have beef with Red. I don't have beef. I'm sorry. There was actually some follow-up news with Redfall today, though. Did you see it? This is a grinds my gears thing about games that I'd like to see left in the past. So Redfall co-op game, right? But big co-op thing. They announced today that it's going to be playable co-op. You can go in, you keep progression for your characters, whatever. But you don't actually keep story progression at all for anyone but the host. So say us three picked up Redfall because we're super hyped for it. We're
Right.
really ready for it. We all jump on launch day. We play it together. Jake's the host. Wonderful. We go. We play for 8 or 9 hours. We have a great time. The next day, I wake up and I'm like, cool, I'm going to carry on playing Redfall. I started up. I have to start over again. The progression only stays with Jake as the host. I don't like that.
No,
I don't like that in game. Like
Fable
I
2
feel-
did that. And
I feel if you're doing a co-op game, that needs to not be a thing. You need to be. Everyone should be picking up where they left off. I mean, the game looks great. It's still like it was super cool. But that news broke today, and it's stuck in my craw a little bit. It was like, oh, come on, like, don't do that. Don't do that thing.
I always assumed that was like because of like some sort of limitation with like cloud saving
Right.
or stuff like that. So like having that there by design is odd. So
Yeah.
yeah, strange and
It's
kind
a
of
strange decision, but still, it was great to see it. Though it was great to see it. Be like,
Yeah.
well, Redfall looking good. Okay.
people were excited about that. Then they showed off Hollow Knight Silk Song, which is like one of the most anticipated games I think for
That was my of everything.
Yeah.
That was my game of everything, apart from ours, obviously.
yeah.
Gory Carnage. Go.
Yeah.
Go. But no,
Very
Silk was, yeah, I've been, oh God, Hollow Knight, what a game. What a game. Just,
Certainly is. I bought my Nintendo Switch just so I could play
Yeah,
Hollow
like-
Knight on the go. you know?
oh God, like what an amazing game. And Silk Song has been
Years now.
evading
Yeah.
a lot of people's news and attention for a long time now, which is fine. Like make the stuff when it's ready, show it. Like that's how it should
One
be.
thing that was very cheeky about this, okay, there was still no gameplay. Sorry, there was gameplay, but there was no release date announced. But Xbox said every single game that they're showing will be shown with it will be out in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And then someone
Yeah.
tweeted Xbox and said, even Silksong, and they said, we said
Yeah.
what we said.
And then they did that calendar split, didn't they, on their socials, where they had like the next 6 months and then the
That's
6
it.
months after
Yeah.
kind of thing. So even though no release date, there's a ballpark.
Yeah, very, very cool. So, I mean, Steve, any thoughts on Hollow Knight? Just good.
I'm just rubbish at it.
Yeah,
It's so hard. It's
It-
I think I've bought it 5 times now.
wow,
Mm.
I've even got the amiibo.
wow.
I tell you
And
what,
I'm
I
still
would
rubbish at
like to see. This is something I would really like to see, actually, because my partner, she absolutely adores the world of Hollow Knight and the look of Hollow Knight and everything like it. And I know lots of content creators and friends that also adore it, because it is a very whimsical world. It's a very sad world, but it's a very whimsical world. It's very, it's got a lot to love about it.
A beautiful
But
melancholy.
it's a really hard game, and I get that that's kind of the point of those games. And I know I'm going to be very careful here with my words, because it can very easily stifle or ignite some kind of comments on the internet. But like, a game can be super hard, and it's totally fine to play it in that way. I play games very hard because people like watching me suck at playing hard games. But there's nothing wrong with hard games also being made in a way that gives people that don't like super hard games the option to play them. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would be cool if Silksong had the ability for someone like Steve, no disrespect to you, Steve, but to actually be able to play it, you know what I mean? And go, you know what, I get to enjoy this with everyone else.
Look,
without
I'll put my neck on the block and I'll say it. I think every boss fight should be skippable.
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
Sure.
Well,
I'm going to get so much hassle for that.
Curtis,
No.
clip that
But
one.
it's true.
Curtis, clip
It's
that
true.
one.
Yeah. Listen, as our resident Dark Souls correspondent,
Yeah.
but I can't say anything. All right. Now listen, Hollow Knight, you're right. It's a shame for a lot of people, much like Elden Ring, for example. Beautiful looking game. A lot of people couldn't do it, And you need to remember, and one thing just to add to that conversation, and it's something that we spoke about in last week's podcast when we spoke to Paige Harvey from Special Effect. Some people aren't simply inept as skill. Some people might just literally not be able to. There could have been some hardened, ultra uber gamer who maybe has found themselves in a position where they can no longer hit those highs again and be the Dark Souls no hit run expert that they used to be. So what about them? There should always be options. So that's just our opinions. Now, we saw there was another game announced, High on Life, but then interestingly, League of Legends, which is already free, was announced on Game Pass. Kind of cool.
No, I like that news. I like that news. Did you see the High on Life stuff? The actual trailer for it, though. Did you actually see what that was? Because that looked bonkers in a really good way.
High on Life, yeah, I did at the time, but let me see. I think I just immediately got my brain washed.
No. So it's the Rick and Morty creators as part of their
shooter
thing. And it's a shooter, but all of the characters are the guns.
Yeah, that's really
that's really weird. It's so strange. I'm kind of there for it. Kind of there for it. That looks really bizarre. I'm with it. But the League stuff, I'm going to be honest, I've not played a lot of video games over the past few months. I've been very busy. I'm playing through the Quarry at the minute, which is very enjoyable. I'm enjoying that. But I've fallen quite hard into, aside from Destiny 2, which is my long-term problem that I can't walk away from. I've been playing a lot of Valorant and a lot of League. And as much as I'm enjoying them, I was excited by the news, because what they said, wasn't it, was that League's coming to Game Pass, but League and Valorant are basically getting all of the characters and champions and agents made available for free to people that own Game Pass, and the new ones will be released minute one. And initially I was like, wow, that's great, because there's 700 League champions and I'm still playing catch up on them all. And then I'm like, wow, but a lot of the time I only jump on to play a game or two of League of Valorant every other day to finish my bounties, to actually get the in-game currency to get those characters. So do I still play the game when you take that treadmill away from me? When I don't have that treadmill anymore? Is that
the carrot on a stick has been removed? So
it's going to be interesting. But I mean, great news if you're the kind of person that is all in and that is your game. That is your
exactly. It's all consuming. A little fact about me, actually, I got to the Masters rank, which is the highest rank possible in Legends of Runeterra, the League of Legends card game. I unlocked every single card, every character. I had the meta completely on lock. Did very well. I think I was rank 400 in the world. I didn't play it for 3 months. Came back. Got no idea. So
I had a similar Hearthstone problem back in the
right,
day.
yeah, exactly. And so you know, if you're not in it, you're out of it, and that's
Yeah.
big time. So that was, but anyway, huge news
Yeah.
with that league. You know, Riot are the biggest company in gaming.
Yeah.
Like, you know, speaking of big companies in gaming, there was like Forza Flight Simulator, but then Overwatch. I feel very disrespectful to brush over it, but you know, I'm saying I can't go fast. Overwatch 2 got a release date. Overwatch 2, of course, being the sequel to 2015's hero shooter Overwatch, which Overwatch 2 had a bit of criticism for being Overwatch 1.5 in the eyes of many people. Blizzard seemed to have alleviated that by announcing, hey, it's coming out in September, and hey, it's free. Just shut up. And everyone was like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Blizzard. It's like, you still have to pay for the single player story. So, gosh, don't know how much money they're going to price that at, and don't know what the quality of that's going to be. Like, if you know, the multiplayer, which surely everyone plays Overwatch for the multiplayer, is going to be, how are they going to do that? It reminds me of like when Fortnite wanted you to pay for that other mode,
the Save the World mode. But that was the first one, wasn't it? Like Fortnite did the Save the World stuff first, and then went, "Yo, PUBG's popular. Let's make that
I'm a big Orcs Must Die fan.
Oh, what
it's
a
like
game!
one of my favorite games.
Yeah,
and Fortnite was like kind of trying to make itself the successor to that with that new mode, and then they just did a battle royale to pass the time to get people in.
Just a little thing, just a little
crazy. So listen, Overwatch 2, that was a big announce. Then we got Elder Scrolls news, Fallout news from Bethesda, but not in a way you expect. Elder Scrolls Online DLC and Fallout 76 DLC. So
I feel like those people, like it's the monkey paw curling. You know what I mean? Like someone.
You want Elder Scrolls?
Oh, you want Elder Scrolls? Oh,
I actually recently, since I got my Steam Deck, started Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah,
and
I've heard it's good
so far. Like, you know what I mean? Pretty good. They did the Forza, they're the Hot Wheels expansion. Ark 2, it's a game with dinosaurs and Vin Diesel.
But not actually anything like the original Ark. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was the weird thing. Like, here's Ark. Okay, Ark, the dinosaur farming game. Okay, Ark 2, it's a third-person Dark Souls combat type game. Wait, what? That's the opposite of what Ark 1 was.
I'm kind of like, sign me up. But, so, they've gone for kind of like it's in the Ark universe.
Yeah.
So maybe they could have called it something else.
Yeah, sure, I'm here for it. Let's see. I want to see Vin Diesel just fat rolling around a T-Rex. That's what I want. Just Vin Diesel, just over and over and over. Just give me that. Give me that.
So we saw that. That was good. Scorn was then next. That's the sort of HR Geiger inspired, fleshy, pulpy, non-verbal horror game that seems to be in the works forever. Finally coming out just before Halloween. So interesting. We saw Flintlock, Minecraft Legends, like another game by Mojang. Another it's a Minecraft strategy game in the Minecraft world. They did that other one. Minecraft Dungeons,
which was fun.
Yeah.
I played a little bit. I played that for a bit. That was one.
It was decent. I had a good day with it. Like, I think I did the story in a day. So this looks, cool. I'm always up for strategy. Then they did Lightyear Frontier, which is like another farm simulator, but this time they've gone robots, and they just took some robots in there.
Yeah, let's go.
So you're in a robot. You're not with robots. And then there's like we got Naraka Blade Point as dusk falls. We kind of wrapping up at this point with the Microsoft show. They ended it with a couple of announcements. The final other big announcement was that they were we heard you like Persona. Here's 3, 4, 5 coming to Game Pass. So there's a lot of people who are going to discover their next love in life, right?
Yeah, like that is a big, that's going to be equitable to Yakuza. You know what I mean? Like the an amazing series that a lot of people, just purely because of platform choice, were kind of like, oh, I don't know, looks cool, I guess, maybe one day, looking wistfully.
It's going to change some people's life. It's one of those games that has like a fandom, like Kingdom Hearts and all that. Yeah. It's one of them, isn't it?
It is going to become someone's favorite thing.
Yes,
that's the best. That's the best thing about gaming. Like, talk about exclusivity and the merits and demerits of it all you want, but one of the good things about when IPs do kind of broaden out and become available elsewhere is people discovering their next favorite thing, which everyone should be able to do.
Listen, Steve, if you need a vinyl recommendation, mate, the Persona 5 soundtrack.
I think 10. I got it. I've certainly got at least one Persona on vinyl.
5 has got it's the acid jazz.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
It is we took the Gran Turismo menu music and just turned it up to 11 and then put it through
Yeah.
Oh God.
A
Yeah.
bossa quartet. Yeah. No, yeah. No, honestly, it's something. So there's two more to talk about. You
Okay.
know, and I mean, unless and I think this will be a nice place to cap it off.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of others the PC gaming show where I got to see the follow-up to Core Keeper, this game that I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
And a System Shock remake. But unless there's, you know, it's a speak now or forever hold your peace moment.
I'm hyped for Shodan. I can't wait for more System Shock in my life. We keep seeing these projects start up and then fall over. Let's get this one out, please.
Yeah,
Please,
exactly.
please, please.
Now, Steve, is there any reason that we should not be united with these last two announcements from the Microsoft Bethesda conference? Anything else?
No, absolutely.
Okay, well, look, Hideo Kojima popped up, the
And
legend himself,
Yep.
and he was just
When
like,
you least
"Hello."
expect him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and he was like, "Hello, everybody. It's me, Hideo Kojima. I'm making a game." Anyway, I'll see you later. That was it. That was it.
May we all live our lives to get to the point where we are able to do something just like that, where you could be the kind of person that talks to someone and goes, "I just want to let you know I'm going to announce something in the future. Bye."
That was the penultimate sort of thing, right? Like, also, like, you know, no, he wasn't on the Jeff Keighley show, so that made me laugh. I was like,
the bromance is over.
Yeah, Phil Spencer's my new best friend. And then, so we ended with this, and I really want to hear your opinions on it. And I'm assuming that you've both seen it, and it would be great for the sake of the podcast that you have. But if not, it's okay. Starfield. We saw. So just for anyone who's unaware, Starfield is the sort of next single player game by Bethesda Game Studios. So Bethesda are a publisher, but they also develop their own games. Bethesda Game Studios are, of course, the studio who I guess are most famous for developing the open world RPG series Fallout and Elder Scrolls. The last full length game was Fallout 4 in 2015, and before that, it was 2011's critically acclaimed, although Jake doesn't have it on Steam Deck, Skyrim. And this is a new IP, a new venture in a new frontier. Starfield. We saw a meaty chunk of it. It was supposed to be out a little bit later this year. It's now been pushed to 2023. So they were like, all right. So I'm not going to tell you what I think. I'd like to hear what you think of Starfield. Maybe if you want to know, I'll tell you in a bit. But right now, what do you think?
Yeah, Steve, what do you think? What was your initial blush?
Well, I'll be honest. Everyone, there was a lot of people that seemed to be down on it. I thought, I need to go and have a look at it again. I had a good look, and it was right up my street. I thought, yes, please. Shooting, space, yeah, I'm in for it. I'm in for it. Because I'll be honest, the guns looked great. That's kind of I like a shooter, and that is So that's jumped to the top of my list, to be honest.
I think for me, it was I was a little bit on the opposite end, and I think what's important, and I think we should all take this just for everything we've talked about today, because I myself and you, Jake, and Steve, there we've all kind of had our little sharp intakes of breath when mentioning certain games or products or how they're revealed. I think what is important is not everything is for everybody, and that is totally okay. But by contrast, you don't need to go out there and, to coin a phrase from some wonderful friends of mine, don't yuck people's yum. If you don't like something, that's totally cool. Just don't shit on it for the people that do like it. You don't need to do that. There's no need to do that. You gain nothing, and all it does is make other people sad. And the internet's sad enough without that. But Starfield, I mean, I looked at it and went, I can see the Bethesda heritage in this, for better and for worse. From the combat, from the exploration, and when I have a vague idea what I will be getting from this, and if I'm in a mood where I want to do what looks very much like, not to be reductionist, but very much kind of a Bethesda game mixed with No Man's Sky, then I know that I will get that from this. And that's totally cool. Like I might decide I want to do that one day, and I will go and play that. But then there was also, this is the first time the game has been shown. We are super early in this game's marketing life cycle. We've known about it for a long time, but this is the first time that we've actually seen anything about it. That's the game was put on a big stage as the cliff note on a big Xbox showcase. That they crammed as much as they could in there to show variety. You know what? Let's see the depth. Let's see the depth. Like before I
Yeah.
make any judgment on it, let me see the depth. If this ends up being wide as an ocean, shallow
Mm.
as a puddle, then you know what? I'll get to it eventually, maybe. But let's
Wow.
yeah.
That's a very good look at you both what you two said kind of. Well, let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. I didn't see anybody saying anything but good things about it,
Hmm.
but I felt exactly identical to what you described, Gary.
Yeah.
I was like, right, I don't want to be like disparaging. It doesn't
Yeah.
look bad, but also I have played games since 2015, including No Man's Sky, and that now at that point scratches that itch for me.
Yeah.
Apart from the Bethesda bits, which I just go and play the older games. So I'm like, that's new. The one thing that I heard that was actually the one bit I heard that I had a negative thought when some people had a good thought was 1,000 planets. I was
Yeah.
like,
I got a little bit of anxiety when I heard that.
Give me
that was a bit
10.
like that. That was like,
yeah, give me 10 and make them really good, please, Todd.
like
Don't be like
flashbacks.
1,000.
Flashbacks to like the Mass Effect 1 Mako. Yeah, you know, oh look at all these
That's-
planets. You're like,
wow,
oh no, I don't want that.
That's it. Because I know that they're not using procedural generation, right?
No.
For the planets.
I
So
don't
that's
think so.
1,000 handcrafted planets.
Yeah.
If I just said to you, Steve, draw me 1,000 circles, 600 of them are going to be a bit shit, aren't they?
They're gonna
So
look
I
like
was-
a box of nuggets.
Oh, you
It's
might-
gonna be like
I think you're doing well. If you think 600 of my circles would be shit.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot higher than that. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, well, so I you know, that bit I was like, oh, but listen, you know, I mean, and I'm glad that because I was watching a lot of blue and grey, and I'm a Skyrim guy. Though
Yeah.
not obviously not that much because I don't own a flipping thing on PC in it, but I finished it about 6-7 times, and even Skyrim, which is like a lot of snow.
Yeah.
I love it, but when I'm on Fallout and I'm just kind of like, you know, rooting through like the bins of Megaton and that, and like trying to just get by, surviving by picking up like scrap cutlery and that,
yeah.
it's a bit down on me. Like when I go into Skyrim and I go into a cave and it's like you got the ring of being amazing and the water breathing helmet, and then I go into Fallout and it's like here's some irradiated water. I'm always a bit like, oh, it's a bit of a
man.
downer. So with Starfield, I hope it's like a nice mix of both. Like I hope I get some cool death rays.
It'll be interesting. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
like you say, I saw a lot of people being super, and you know, this is. Let's not even entertain the whole console warsy stuff because I don't care what side of the fence you're on. There's absolutely no need for that whatsoever. Games are for everyone. Everyone should play what they like, and that's incredible. Stop that, all of you, internet
Yeah.
people.
Also,
Stop.
yeah.
But you know, you saw people kind of being like, just No Man's Skyrim, which you know what? Okay, that's pretty clever.
That's
That's
good.
a nice amalgamation.
Yeah.
I like that. Very clever. Not a derogatory thing. Like at all. Not at all. You see No Man's Skyrim, I go, okay, I know exactly what that is. And if I like those two things, I'm gonna like it. Cool, great. But, like, don't make it a reductionist thing. Like, cool. But yeah, just temper expectations. You know, I think they kind of said that before the show about everything actually. About we're only talking about things that have been announced as you know, temper expectations. Just remember that for
I
everything
think
with
it's
this
going to
stuff.
be the greatest thing of all time.
Steve, stop that!
Just- Just,
Well,
I
listen.
I
You
get
know,
excited for these things.
you know, this is I was on the No Man's Sky day one. You know, huge hype train for years. I was looking forward to it. Got it, and
I got
I'm
it launch day.
I'm an apologist.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I even liked it on day one. I was like, this is a bit
I
crap,
did.
but you
It
know,
didn't,
I like
run on my
PlayStation 2
PC
games.
very well, but it ran.
Well, you know,
I even bought a special cover plate for my PlayStation to play it.
Oh,
I
really?
love that.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, like now, but now look at that turnaround. That's
Yeah.
like the number one
It's-
game in the
yeah,
market.
it's brilliant.
hardest working studio out there. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
obviously, apart from any publisher, any developer that's working with Wired Productions, of course, you are
Yeah,
all amazing, making the
yeah.
best games ever.
Yeah.
Do not temper expectations; they're all going to be great.
Uh.
But yeah, like the turnaround for Hello There, and just how much they put into that game.
Well, them and like between that and Final Fantasy 14, like
Yeah,
there's
like-
some redemption arcs. Like, and
Yeah.
listen,
Oh.
Starfield, you know, it's got that factor that you just mentioned earlier, which is it's going to be someone's favorite game. Someone's going to be a Starfield nut. They're going to like have a Starfield mug and a hat, and they're going to get a Starfield tattoo. And you know, I think about when I was 12 playing Oblivion or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I'm just
going
like,
around collecting all the Nern roots for an entire
Yeah,
summer because why not?
can you imagine being 13 and playing Starfield? And imagine not playing any of the others. Imagine how it's gonna feel. So that's what when I'm thinking. Like, look, for me, like, don't really care. I will pick it up. I'll begrudgingly get it day one,
Yep.
and then I probably like it a bit. But some people are gonna go, bananas for it, and that is a beautiful thing. So I like that. I thought it was a nice picture finish. So listen, there was loads more shows, but guys, we don't have time. Like we've got like literally 80 other games happened since then.
Yeah,
we've given you.
You've pretty much got enough left in the bag that we did not cover today. That when Aaron returns next week, you could probably get an entire second.
Aaron's going to come in like, what did I miss?
Yeah,
and I'm going to be well. Let me tell
half
you.
of E3.
Well, I think we are going to have to do a little double duty. And so actually, I want to put this out for you, dear listener. All right. Let's extend this discussion a little bit. And why don't you let us know what it is that you've been enjoying at E3? Because, you might be absolutely offended and appalled that I mentioned that there was too many farming games and you want to set me right. You can do that, nicely by sending an email in at unplugged@wireproductions.com. Honestly,
maybe they want to hear your thoughts on the Diablo stuff. We didn't even touch.
We didn't even talk about
Diablo Immortal
or Immortal, which I have played.
Like we didn't touch on any of that. There's so much left on the
honestly,
table.
I feel like there is room to talk about more, and there's still more to come. There's still more shows happening. Like after this podcast goes out, I think we've got the Annapurna Interactive Showcase. Tenno Live. There's more stuff. So listen, if you want to get
other cat game.
Other
cat game. Some other cat game.
Some other one,
Some other one.
Yeah.
I'm low-key excited for that, though. I'm low-key excited for Stray.
It looks kind of cool.
Mangy.
Gory would have it in the fight, though. Gory would definitely have Stray in a fight. That's canon.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, listen, if you want to get involved, you can tweet us. It's at Wired P.
Oh, we're making all the friends today.
P for Productions.
P for
planets, 1,000 of them.
1,000 wired planets.
Yeah, now you can also email, like I say, unplugged@wireproductions.com. And next week, Aaron will be back. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys. He's not going to be wearing the hat, just in case anyone's hopes are up.
No.
All right.
I'll FedEx him back. Yeah.
Temper your hat expectations.
He's got to wear a hat.
Temper your hat expectations.
I
like the idea of you just sending this around to guests randomly.
Yeah.
Every other episode, just someone else is wearing
the
a
uniform.
hat.
Yeah.
I like it.
So listen, guys, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and listening to this barrage of game information being blasted into your brain.
And well done for wrangling it. There was an awful lot to go across.
Well,
there. And,
I'm a mere conduit for gaming news, and I'm happy to have done my duty. Until next time, guys. Wired 19 on the way. We got a couple of special guests in the pipeline, but yes, please help us shape the show by giving us some questions or thoughts about E3, and we can
all in the comments. And you know what? You're extra lucky this week, chat and folks, because me and Steve are the ones that reply and deal with those. So talk to us directly when you are talking on YouTube, when you are talking on Twitter, when you are talking on all of the platforms that we post these on. It's us that's dealing with them. So leave your comments, leave nice ones. Make sure you are subscribing and liking all
leave
of
nasty
these
ones as well. I don't care.
Yeah, leave
straight
nasty
back
ones
into the horse's mouth.
Just remember, Gary said all boss levels should be skippable.
You know what? No, I will back up on that. Yes, 100% they should.
Yeah. This is a real life boss battle. Get involved in the comments below. Guys, thank you very, very much. Thank you for everybody for listening at home. And we will see you next week for some more. Goodbye.
Bye.
Now, have you liked, subscribed, left a review, left us a note, emailed us? Have you done that? No? Why not? Your country needs you.
Wired Unplugged.